Hello, hello, Cindy here with Create Your Own Luck in Love, and sunshine is shining brightly behind me. Anyways, you weren't here to listen to my singing voice. Anyway, also your host for the Successful Woman's Guide to Meet and Marry Her Man. And I am so excited. Happy Monday. Send me hearts. Send me questions, send me thumbs up if you're here and you can hear me. And I want to talk about relationships and dating. So, and feel free to ask me any questions. I'm here to answer them for you. And the number one topic I want to talk about right about now is needs. Understanding your needs and when to ask, when to approach, and how to approach your needs when it comes to dating and relationships. And I think there's a lot of confusion around that particular piece. And I think it can be really challenging because, men and women are divinely, we're different, right? Alison Armstrong says this, and I love this. It's like men are like ice cream, right? Ice cream's ice cream, but there's different flavors, textures, colors, all kinds of things. Well, it's the same with women. Women are like, I don't know, what's your favorite dessert? Chocolate souffle, whatever. But you get what I'm saying, right? And it's the same with us women. And I think a lot of times we can listen to dating and relationship advice and we don't lean in and really just communicate. Or we think about things from an advice standpoint, or what would Cindy say, or what would another expert say. And, all of our relationships are unique. And so it's about, opening up around that and edging from the side of compassion and seeking to understand. So starting with that standpoint, and also looking at, I like to look at different aspects and look at different layers. So let me give you an example. When it comes to, I think a lot of times it's easy as a woman, especially when we're dating, to personalize things or to really take something to heart, right? Because we can be sensitive with one another, let's face it. I know I can be at times, but if we learn to look at things from the perspective of, understand this, if you're dating a man and, if you're in the dating phase, it's a good idea to be getting to know multiple people. It doesn't mean you're sleeping with them. It means you're really sincerely getting to know them, letting them take you to dinner, going on walks, hikes, events. And if you've met somebody that you find really interesting and, has an amazing, that you feel chemistry with, or something seems interesting, you also get to set boundaries and let them know what makes you happy. So when it comes to dating, it's really important to express that. Like, gosh, especially when you're first getting to know someone, there's an old saying, ignore the things you don't like and express the things you do like. Gosh, I'm so happy that you showed up 15 minutes early with flowers. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Or it could be anything. And really expressing your gratitude, as well as also looking at, how do I express a need of mine? How do I express something that would make me happy? And let me give you an example when it comes to dating. I was asked this question and I haven't responded to her yet. I saw it and I was getting ready to get on here, and I thought this is a perfect platform within which to ask this. So a woman asked me a question around, she had gone out on a date and he's, seemed to be the kind of guy she'd like to be getting to know more. And he had said something along the lines of, well, hey, if you're interested, why don't you, let me know if you're interested in getting together again, call me, or something along those lines. And she had said, well, don't you think if the guy's really interested, he's going to call you anyways? And the answer is yes and no. Remember, men are like ice cream, right? So it's what could be happening, and a lot of this happens because of the messaging that men get in our society nowadays. They're not sure whether or not a woman wants to be bothered. So in that moment, it would have been a great opportunity for her to let him know her need to, gosh, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll tell you now, I'd love to see you again. And it would make me feel really special and happy if you called me. I'm a little old-fashioned that way. Or I like it when a man is the one that, hey, Bonnie, how are you? Hi, Patricia. I like it when a man pursues me when we're getting to know each other. When a man calls me, I'm responsive. And that may feel scary and vulnerable, but it's truth, right? Who doesn't want to be pursued? I don't want to. Of course you want to be pursued. Who wants to be pursued? Right? So we all want to feel special and feel pursued, and actually letting them know, hey, it would make me feel really special. If you were to ask me out again right now, I'd definitely say yes. It would make me feel really special if you called me. I'll definitely, and that puts the ball in his court to do that. He may have said that to her because he wasn't sure of her interest, right? And a lot of times women, when they hear things like that, they freeze. They'll go, oh no, maybe it means he's not interested. Or, for example, one of my clients had, her and this guy were planning a date and she had left town, and he said, and I teach my clients that men lead, and he had said, well, text me when you're back in town and we'll plan our date. And she had told him okay. And she shared that with me and said, well, do I not text him because I want to let him lead? And I said, well, here's the thing. You told him you would text him. So in reality, it's out of integrity for you not to, right? But in the future, you can say something along the lines of, hey, I'm excited for our date, and, feel free to message me anytime. While I'm gone or when I get back, I always, You know, I prefer it when a man reaches out to me first. However you want to say that, however eloquently or uneloquently you want to say it like that, because that's that's getting a need. It's expressing a need, is expressing something. And know that you're expressing it with joy. You're expressing it with gratitude. You're expressing it with how it makes you feel. And understand that, not to create a false sense of expectation around that. I've had clients that they don't even realize they're creating an expectation when they, they'll match up with someone that seems really amazing. Maybe they seem to have a lot of similarities in their profile. You've probably seen these before. And he seems just really amazing and great, and like, gosh, it would be even super duper to really connect and get to know each other. So sometimes we can create a relationship or an expectation before ever meeting the person, right? Who's done that? And what can happen in that, in that place is the fact that a lot of different things can happen. Maybe, he says, hey, I'm traveling this week, I'll catch up with you next week, and he does not. So there's a lot of different things that could have happened. Maybe his grandfather had a stroke. Maybe his mom, things happen in life. I mean, stuff happens all the time. And not that you're leading from that sense, but you're leading from a place of compassion, empathy, putting yourself in their shoes. Perhaps something came up that week, and understanding that a man is not invested in you until he meets you. He could have met someone else a few weeks ago that became a little more serious. You never know. And it's not something that's personal. I don't believe it to be true. So one could choose to reach out again and say, hey Joe, it was great chatting last week. Let me know if you're still up for grabbing that coffee. I'd sure love to meet, let me know if you're still up for that cup of coffee. I know how life gets busy sometimes. If that works for you, I would love it. If not, this is not a great time for you, totally no problem. I understand, and happy fall. It's not having the attachment, right? So, and if you're in a relationship and you're, how do you identify needs? Needs are things that you get to identify on your own. And a need doesn't, needs can be tough because we can become too needy, which is codependent. And we can have needs in a relationship that people can't read our minds about, right? Like, it would make me really happy if you rub my neck a couple nights during the week or whatever, right? Or, identifying a need. I would love to hear from you. I know that life gets really busy during the week, and I'd love to hear, I'd love to touch base once a day. That would make me really happy. I talk about something with my clients quite a bit called an appreciation sandwich, which is basically, gosh, I really love our time we spend together. So you start with the part that it makes you really happy or you appreciate about them. I'm pointing, I appreciate, how thoughtful you are, and I always love the fact, I always love it when you come over. It's, you're so thoughtful with bringing flowers or knowing whatever, right? And then the need goes in the middle. The need is, it would make me really happy to chat once a day when we're not together. It makes me feel more connected to you, or it makes me, I always look forward to hearing your voice during the day. And, or it could even be a need. It could be that give you a heads up before they come over to your house. Maybe they like to stop by. I mean, it could be anything, right? And if you guys have needs that come up, post them below. I'm having a Monday brain blank around need stuff. It could be that, it would make me, I appreciate I appreciate it when we have a date night once a week. And I've noticed that that's fallen by the wayside. Make me really happy if we could, schedule that in or figure that out. And then the appreciation sandwich, right, is the last part, which is, thanks, Bonnie. The appreciation sandwich piece is the last portion, which is, our quality time together is always cherished. And I love to focus on you and I, or whatever, right? So, and, when asking for a need to be met, do you notice that I'm not spinning it in a negative way, right? I think a lot of times women can get scared to ask for things that they want or need in a relationship, like quality time is a big thing, or for me, or touch, or words of affirmation, right? The love languages. Identifying that and understanding those pieces, and having empathy for where the other person is at. Put yourself in their shoes and not jumping to conclusions that if your need isn't being met immediately, that they're trying to hurt you or do something to you. Frankly, talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. I was talking to somebody today, and he's a psychologist, actually, and I was like, he and I were, talking a lot of psychobabble. And we were talking a little bit about psychobabble and how people process information, and also about, the difference between actions and words. And I think, as women, we put a lot of weight on words. How many times have you heard a man tell you he loved you, or he promised you the moon, and then he didn't deliver? I've had it happen. And I think that, sorry you guys, I get to look at the time. So, oops. I'm trying to change the lighting. Is that good? Anyway, So, you know, he said you can see someone's commitment level, their real commitment level to something with their actions. And I've always said this too. It's like actions speak louder than words, right? Talk is cheap. So if he says, hey, I'll call you in an hour, and he doesn't call you, and he calls you maybe the next day, and he's like, hey, you know, did you have a good night? Blah, blah, blah. So that's actually a really good time to figure out where someone's at. Like, hey, I'm great. It's good to hear your voice. And I'm glad to hear everything, you know, hear you're okay. You know, if they didn't address the fact that they told you last night they were going to call you within the hour, call you when they got home. And look, I know how things come up once in a while. Sure, it does happen. And a lot of times it's unintentional, right? Especially since men are single focused, but not making an excuse. And yeah, so Bonnie just said she's had that words without action happen, and I'm guilty of that too. So if you're guilty of words without action, how can you expect someone else to do what you're not willing to do, right? It's tough. I appreciate you sharing that. But you guys, you know, in wrapping up here, because I do get to run in a minute, but I want to just share this is, you know, even addressing it, especially if you're somebody that's willing to show up, right? So it could be where they're at in their life. It could be, you know, whatever that is. It may be an integrity thing with them, when it's convenient for them, whatever. But if you say something along the lines of, you know, when I didn't hear from you last night, you know, when you said you would call last night, I would appreciate a heads up if that's not going to happen in the future. And you know, just really keeping it very simple and addressing it, because if that happens a few times, you also know where to put them in the fact of what they're capable of, because you can watch what somebody's capable of based on the way they're showing up. The way they're showing up with you and in their life, and what's a priority to them. So there you have it. I hope that makes sense, you guys. I'm sending you so much love, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Again, I'm here for you. I'm here to answer any of your questions, and have an amazing rest of your day, night. Sending love.